Welcome to the Block Party. My name is Seth Kushner. We are back. Co-host Braydon Coburn. Welcome.
Hey, Seth. Great to be here, buddy.
This was the last second, by the way. Kobe's in England right now as this episode is out celebrating Thanksgiving. So this episode came together at the last second. So we're like, hey, who can we talk to today? Who's interesting? I don't know. How about Koepke? He scored his first goal last night. Welcome to the show, Cole. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Man of the hour.
Yeah. I mean, how are you feeling right now? Or do you feel different? Do you feel different today than you did yesterday before you scored that goal? Like, you got a little swagger in your step?
Yeah, I feel like I got a little more swagger. Maybe a bit of a weight off my shoulders, kind of. A bit of relief. It was starting to get in my head a little bit at times, so glad to get it out of the way.
But you scored that goal, and it was under weird circumstance, right? Like,
yeah.
I heard your interview after the game. You said you didn't know if it went in, and then they announced it after Hagel scores his goal. So Hagel's goal doesn't count. Your goal obviously stands. You're sitting on the bench. Like, did you think about like jumping on the ice and doing some sort of celebration? Or I really wanted to see you like lift your arms up on the bench, or maybe like a Timu Solani, like throw your glove up and like shoot at it, or something like that. Did you think about that at all?
I don't know. Coop was like, we should have him go on the ice and go through the line or do something.
knee down, fist pump.
He's like, you got to celebrate. He's like, Hagel will do it for you, I guess. Because, I mean, like I said, I had no idea it went in. Like, I knew because I had it. I saw it hit lingering stick, and then it hit the pipe. And then I was on my backhand, so I was turning, and then I looked again, and it like went kind of towards the corner. And I was like, did that go in? And they were like, so. But the ref was right there, like on the goal line. He didn't point. Both Washington D and like Maroon were there. They were all chasing the puck, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" So I assumed it hit the other pipe or just went over. So I got back to the bench and definitely was not thrilled. And then Coop or someone was like, "That's your goal!" right after Hagel scored, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Hagel's goal does not count. Like yours went in," and I was like, "What?"
Oh, I
so like I was so confused for a while, and then all the guys came over. I was like, "No, yours went in. Hit the camera.
That's how you score your first goal, by the way. No one's gonna believe the story in 20 years that like this is how it all went down, but we'll have video proof of it.
Yeah, I think like there's always that. So when you score your first goal, usually in the NHL, they'll give you a nice little plaque with the puck on there, first NHL goal. But I think you should go and get the camera, because the camera will have a picture of that puck hitting it, and you put that picture right beside the puck. I think it'll be like a great piece of memorabilia for you.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be proof too.
Yeah, proof. Yeah, it went in.
No one can judge it now.
By the way, so everybody, after they score their first goal, they take the picture holding up the puck. It's taped up. I asked Kobe about when he scored his first goal. I guess they didn't do that. So.
No, it was such a terrible goal that they were like they were embarrassed.
But everybody looks like they're in a mugshot. You genuinely looked happy. Like you looked like you do right now. Like you're smiling. So I mean, like how I mean, you said that you were feeling it, like that it was on your mind. Like what were you thinking when you were going out there? You're just like, I gotta score. I gotta get this. What were some of the guys telling you? Had you talked to anybody on the team about it? Like, did they tell you to relax? Like, what were you going through mentally before that you scored last night?
Yeah, I think it can take a toll on you mentally. It's just because new to the league and new to the team, so I'm just trying to like find my place and find my role on the team and get better in that aspect of it. And I felt as the games have gone on that like I'm getting more comfortable and I'm playing better, but then I'm like, but there's nothing to like necessarily show for it on the stat sheets. Then you start to second guess yourself. But so many of those older guys come to me and they're like, hey, like it'll come. Like you're playing the right way. Everyone goes through stretches without scoring, as everyone in hockey knows. It's just unfortunate that it happened right away for the first one. But I mean, I just tried to stay as mentally focused as I can, and I'm glad it finally came because I don't know how much longer I could take that.
Well, now that you have one, the floodgates are open. Like your good buddy Perbix, he got his first one, and it's like the gates have opened for him. They're going in now all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. And it was actually funny. Me and Perbs were talking this morning before we went out for that third period, because he had tried to throw that one to the net and went off their D skates. And I was like, what's a guy got to do to get one of those? And we were joking around, and we're standing there, and he's got his stick, and I'm like, here, give me a little luck. So we're rubbing our blades together before the third period. And
are you gonna have to do that now before every game? I mean, do you think that's
I mean, I might have to, as long as Perbs lets me.
Yeah.
That's how superstitions are like born. You know,
Exactly.
like 20 years later, you guys are still rubbing your sticks together. It'd be great.
Yeah, Perbix. Yeah, you and Perbix are turning into like Yager and Lemieux over here. So this is great. Now we were supposed to have you on the show a couple of weeks ago, and then we were supposed to have Perbix on, and then there was you had to drive him somewhere. So now we found out that apparently you're his Uber driver. So how did that happen? And are you done driving him around, or do you thoroughly enjoy your relationship that you have with him?
Yeah, I love my relationship with him. He's a good guy. We're great friends. I mean, we spent a lot of time together because we were in the hotel together, and now we're in the same like little apartment style building now. And like I said, we have the rental car, and I was here. He went to Syracuse for a bit, so when we initially got the car, like I had it and had the keys and everything. So I don't know if like right away he thought like it was just for me, but like, he couldn't use it. He's like, oh, like take the car here, and I'm like, you know, like, I gotta get out of the hotel too eventually. So I'm like, yeah, I'll come with you. It's like I'm driving him, and he's like, we should go. So everywhere we go now, I'm always driving, but I'm like, you can use the car too. But I guess when we go, I'm just all-time driver.
See, and you were saying that you were doing things that weren't showing up on the stat sheet. That's one of them. I mean, you were getting this guy everywhere he needed to be.
Exactly.
I mean, he was lighting up the scoreboard. So, I mean, you were helping the team out here. You know, I want to let you know you were contributing. So
yeah, I do what I can. I mean, after a few of the flights, I mean, I'm bringing home a few of the guys back here. They don't want to leave all their nice cars out during the hurricane weather and stuff. So, you know, I'm driving I think after our last trip, there was 5 of us in the car. It was me, Perbix, Myers, Colton, Hagel.
What the heck?
This team chauffeur.
It's the Bolt bus, you
What
know,
is-
with your driver, Cole Koepke. Look out.
Who's running the show? Is like Colton? Who's telling you guys to drive him around? And what kind of car is it? Like, what kind of rental you got?
Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
It's
all
a
right.
Dodge Caravan. You know?
It's got to be one of those big white vans that they use to pick up kids after school with. I mean, how many people
know.
you're hauling around?
If I get any more, I'm going to have to upgrade.
That's All right, please.
Or the Lightning step up and they give you like, the Dodge Caravan or the Sprinter van with Hetty's face on it. You know, you guys can
what
like
we need.
do advertisement at the same time you're getting around town.
All right, so Kobe told me that I was all over the place last interview with Perbix. So he told me that before the interview, and I'm taking his constructive criticism. So before we get off your first goal, but I want to know, who'd you hear from last night? Did you your parents, Wayne Gretzky? I mean, who started texting you? People's numbers you didn't even know they had?
Yeah, it was a lot of messages. I honestly think like when I got back to my hotel, I had like 98 messages.
Is that a record for you?
Yeah, it's got to be a record. It was pretty much all my buddies from home and past teammates and family, and then it was pretty cool. It was my dad and like girlfriend's first time coming down here for a game, so they were actually here last night.
Their first game?
Yeah.
Oh,
first
wow.
game down here, so that was cool to have them there. So I mean, I kind of tried to like slowly go through all the messages, but I went through and texted my mom and brother back right away, get the important ones done, and then pretty much just like all my friends, a lot of messages in my hometown group chat. A couple of my buddies were joking. One of my buddies who used to play, he's like, yeah, I had a hat trick in beer league tonight, but that's basically the same as your goal. Right? So it was fun to go through and read all the messages from everyone.
Get some sore thumbs just working the horn all night, right?
It's a pain, man. It's like it's a chore after you score your first goal, so you got to go through all that work. So we're probably keeping you from getting back to some text messages today. So we won't try and keep you too long. All right, Kobe. So we'll start. You want to get to the start of the career with Mr. Koepke?
Yeah, you're one of 2 Minnesota guys in the team, right?
Yep.
You and Perbs, which I don't think Perbix told us his nickname. Perbs?
No, he didn't tell us at all. I'm hearing Perbs and I'm liking it. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, it kind of rolls off. Perbix.
Yeah.
And so before we get to that, what's your nickname? Is it Key, Keps?
They're calling me Keps or Kepper.
Kepper? Oh,
Yeah.
Kepper. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, I think Breesman dropped Kepper in the mass text, and I was like, all right, that works. That works. You always just throw an ER at the end of the nicknames. Like that's how it works, right? Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. Pretty much everyone was calling me Keps like pretty much last year, in Syracuse started this year. I think Pointer, I sit next to Pointer in the stall, and he always comes in. He's like, Kepper.
That's a pretty good point impersonation right there. That's exactly him right there. I love it.
So the beginning. So you wanted the start, like the Minnesota and all that.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Hermantown. That's like your hometown. It sounds like it's kind of like your classic Minnesota. Like you and Perbs are kind of the same boat, right? You guys come from kind of smaller, mid-sized Minnesota towns. Hockey kind of means everything to everybody there. So I'm sure it's been a big deal, your debut this year in the NHL.
Yeah, it's huge. I love Hermantown. Like you said, it's small town. I mean, when I was there and graduated, it was like 8,000 people was the population only, and it was like hockey is everything up there. I mean, we had the one main indoor rink, but we had like 4.5. One was kind of like a pleasure rink, but 4 full-on like outdoor hockey rinks, and it was right next to the school. So like forever growing up, it was like PBs and Bantams. Like we practiced at like 7, 8 p.m. So like we would all walk from the school to like this place called the Warming Shack, and it was just like a little building in between all the rinks, and we would just rink rat and skate outside, like pretty much from after school until practice, and then our parents pick us up after practice. So I mean, it's just all hockey. Like grew up playing outdoors all the time. And
I'm sure
awesome.
Kids growing up here in Tampa have to be so jealous of that. I know my kids are like, can we go somewhere where we can play on an outdoor rink? And like, that sounds like the perfect way to grow up. Like that's not, when you think Minnesota hockey, that's exactly what I think of personally.
Can I tell you what I think of?
Yeah.
Everybody skating on frozen lakes and like having to test. Is that a thing too?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I mean, it's more kind of like leisure skating when we go on the lake.
Can I ask you, how do you really know it's frozen? I mean, like, how are you really sure?
It's like 40. It's minus 40 for like like a
yeah.
month. You know it's frozen.
But for sure, like Kobe. But for sure, like, how do you really? Because before I'd go out there, I just want to make sure, I'm not going in.
I think early in the winter, it's kind of I don't really know. You kind of just start to like kind of creep out there.
You let the fattest guy go out first, and you just wait, see what happens. If it's all good for him, then everybody else like barrels on the ice.
I kind of think the way I do it is like I kind of just wait for like the fishing season to kind of start, and like I'll see the people, because I mean everyone starts by walking out on the lake and like dragging their ice houses, and then it goes to 4-wheelers and snowmobiles.
Okay.
And then you get people that drive their trucks out there. So it's like, people are driving trucks out there. You can skate out
there. All right. Because you never really hear about any guys like, falling through holes or anything like that. But I've been in Florida my whole life, so I've kind of wondered how that went. Now, did you have crazy hockey parents? We want like anybody that would yell at the ref, anybody that would get into it with like a coach that you weren't playing enough. I mean, you can be honest here, because we talked to Perbs, and his parents embarrassed him. What were they doing? Taking pictures up in the team shop with his jersey. They were hanging it up next to like Stamkos and Kucherov, like it was on sale with those guys. So, were your parents embarrassing you at all when you were growing up playing hockey?
Not too bad. My dad did coach me when I was younger, and he was kind of a hothead with the refs, and he would get ejected a few times. And I mean, I never really thought it was embarrassing. I thought it was funny, but my mom was never a huge fan of it. There was a couple of tournaments I remember. There was one memory I remember. It was funny saying my dad was the coach, and we were playing in a tournament, and I think we were kind of getting a little bit blown out in like the final game, and the refs were not calling anything on them, and we were just getting penalty after penalty. And after one of the calls, my dad threw his hat on the ice. And like the ref had grabbed it and was like, "What was this?" And I don't know if I can curse on here, but he was like, "That's for 3 horseshit calls in a row." And the ref was just like, "You're out of here."
I was going to say, like, so when you would see your dad get ejected, is that like seeing your dad get arrested at all? Is it like, I mean, does it stick with you forever? Or is it just like, oh man, that's dad being dad again?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one will stick with me forever, but otherwise, I mean, he's kind of just yelling at the refs. I'm like, oh.
Fired up the boys. Maybe you guys come back and win it or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Do you give him a lot of credit for you making it all the way to the NHL?
Yeah, I give him, my brother, and my mom too, a lot of credit. My dad coached me a lot growing up, and he was the one who kind of put me on skates. And then my older brother, who's 3 years older than me, also played. So he always kind of bullied me and beat up on me growing up playing against him. And then my mom was always with me and my brother, kind of breaking up the arguments, whether it be knee hockey, or then she's always dropping off lunch at the outdoor rink. So they were all a huge part of hockey growing up.
So that's where your gritty attitude comes from. It's like your brother beating on you, and that's kind of like where that all developed from.
Yeah, because we have 3 of like my closest buddies. We all are my age, and then we all have older brothers that all played, and we'd always play against them. And when we were younger, they would always just like abuse us, like just beat up on us, and we never had a chance. And now we still play like kind of over Christmas. We call it like the Holiday Cup, and now most of us younger ones are still playing, and only one of the older is. So we're we're starting to beat up on them, but it's fun. It's actually P-Hunks and one of them, the one on Winnipeg. So his younger brother is like my age, and then Wyatt Ama, who plays with Colorado's AHL team. Us play against our older brothers and stuff. So it's fun now to go back and we kind of beat up on them now.
What a friend group, right?
Yeah.
Like, bunch of guys. Yeah, hey, these are all my friends that I grew up with. They're all in the NHL or playing professional hockey. Like, well, that's a great stick to carry around right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to know, I messed up when I asked Perbs this question last week because he got sent down to start the season. I wanted to know, how did he find out that he made the team? So how did you find out that you made the team this year?
It was right after we got back from Nashville because we were there for a week, and right before we went to like that game in Florida, Julian had called me and Fortier. We were in the cold tub, and we kind of like knew like something was going on there because he was meeting with me, Fortier, and like Barbalet and Jamal Smith, and we knew that not all of us were here to stay. And he's kind of meeting with us, and we didn't know if he had met with them or anything. We were in the cold tub, and he's like, "Need to see you guys."
Oh,
man. We're like, "Oh, here we go."
And he's a scary guy. Like, I've interviewed him before. Like, I don't know, how serious he was in that moment, but man, he's intimidating.
Yeah, he's a business guy. I mean, he's really nice, but I mean, like for us, like you're never not going to be nervous going to talk to the GM, especially when it's like make or break. But he was just like, "Hey, like you guys are going to be starting the year with us. We're going to be on our first road trip through New York, like Columbus, Pittsburgh." And he's like, we'll see where it goes from there, but congrats and good job. And then it was a few days later that Julian and Cooper had called me in and was like, "Oh, you're going to like play and make your debut in New York." So it's a wild and exciting week for sure.
I love that. GM comes into like the recovery area. You're in the cold tub. "Hey, I got to talk to you." And you'd be like, "Hey, by the way, don't judge. It's cold in here."
Yeah. No, this isn't the hot tub. You can't tell. But.
All right, so this is happening during Thanksgiving week, and we've had a lot of foreign players on, and apparently there's like a Thanksgiving in every country. What's going to be going on with you for Thanksgiving, or like you're going to be here with the guys? Are you going to Hagel, Colton, all you guys getting in a car and going to celebrate? Like, what are Thanksgivings like back home, and what are you planning on doing this year?
Back home, usually it's I go to my mom's side of the family over in Wisconsin, just in a super small town, and it's just her side of family and my cousins. And then my parents are split, so then I do one there and then one with my dad and like family. And my stepmom has a few kids that like I grew up with, so we have a little group out there that we do a couple of dinners with.
Oh my God, this is exhausting. He's just got like, you're at 3 Thanksgivings
so
far.
Yeah, I got lots of groups. So and then, but this year I don't know. I guess hopefully I'm here.
I don't think you're going to.
I don't know if we haven't really talked about if the team will do something, or I guess kind of me and the other guys that aren't married with kids will probably.
You got to talk to Sorelli. Maybe get him to cook up his famous Sorelli chicken parmesan. He does,
Yeah.
Who's taken you? What vets have kind of taken you under their wing, this year? Because I know it's just such a great locker room, and you always hear about like the Maroons and Corey Perry and Stamkos. I mean, it's got to be, when you first walk in there, it's got to be like, holy, Hall of Famers, all galore, all stars, and everything like that. Who's kind of like made sure that you felt comfortable during your time here so far?
I think everyone, like you said, it's a great locker room. Everyone has like made an effort to like reach out and see what we're doing. But I think Belmar's probably been the best guy. I mean, I've played with him obviously right now, and then like preseason on and off been with his line, and he's a guy that like is really like diligent in the gym, like recovery stuff. So like I talk a lot about that stuff with him and kind of hang out around. And
he's a big talker, right?
Oh, he's a huge talker.
Yeah,
Off, and just a great guy. So I'd say he sticks out the most. But I mean, all the guys do a good job. I mean, just our last road trip in DC, we're getting off the bus, and me and Perp are sitting at the front where the last one's off, and Maroon's like, "You two are coming to dinner with us, be in the lobby at 6." And so
that's very cool. Who was us, by the way? Who was in the Maroon crew?
So at dinner it was me, Perbix, Maroon, Stamkos, Killorn, Hagel, and Paul.
So you guys weren't going like it wasn't Happy Meals or anything like that.
No,
Like it
wasn't a Happy
Wow. Oh, that's quite the table that you got invited to.
Yeah.
How do you and Perbs feel, by the way? Were you guys like, holy crap, we got invited out tonight? Were you guys testing each other as you were getting ready?
Yeah, we were like, wonder who's all going. We're like, is this because we know they go in like a big group, like the older guys, and we're like, is it gonna be just us and Maroon, or is it gonna be like their group? And we're like, we're totally going to a restaurant out of our league.
Did you think they were gonna make you pay it all, or you didn't think it was gonna be that?
It crossed my mind once.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, but we didn't have to.
you got to call your bank and be like, hey, we
Yeah.
got to increase the limit here real quick.
Me and my credit limit moved up for just a night.
Now, you were talking about this earlier. I found it interesting. You were talking about like, where's his car, where's his stuff, and you said all your stuff's back home in your car, right?
Yep. So when I came down like a while before camp, but I brought 3 bags. I brought 2 suitcases and my golf clubs in a golf club carrier, and everything else is packed in my car, sitting in my brother's yard right now.
Is that all you need to survive? Is just like, a couple suitcases and your golf clubs?
Yeah, pretty much. Everything else, I'm like, if I need it, I guess I can get it down here. But for the most part, I mean, I was like, all right, I'll bring all my shorts and T-shirts in one, suits in another, golf clubs, and then brought my Xbox too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you got to have.
You can get by on like Xbox, golf clubs,
Yeah.
team swag, and your suits. Really, like that's
exactly.
all you need.
I mean, like on the road, we're wearing a suit all the time, and then something in dinner. So I'm like, I really don't need that much. I mean, a lot of the days when we're busy, like I'm just coming here to the rink and then I'm going back and hanging out. So.
Man, that's absolutely. So you don't. I like that. I like that a man does not need any stuff, and he's
No.
figuring it out at all. Does Perbs have any stuff at all, or is
No,
he?
He's got less than me.
He's got less.
He's got less than me, I think.
Is it because you're afraid to just rip the Band-Aid off and bring it down here? What? Because you feel like something's gonna happen? They're gonna like send you down? Is that what it is?
I don't know. It's just I feel like it's bad juju or karma to bring everything down, like without like a housing letter in my own place. Like I don't want to bring because it's a hike to bring my car from Minnesota to Florida. Because it'd either be my brother would either just like bite the bullet for me and drive it,
Ooh.
or I would just get it shipped down. But I'm like, if I get it shipped down and then I get sent to New York, it's like I'm not gonna drive my car from Minnesota to Florida.
What should
to
he do?
New
What should he
York.
do? Help this
So
kid
I'm
out.
like,
It's
I'm just gonna leave
it's
it.
a tough. Like when you're trying to get established. My second year in the league, I lived in a hotel for the entire year. It was
That sounds brutal.
Yeah, it wasn't great, and it was kind of before. Now these guys come to the room in the morning. They got breakfast and lunch, and this before I was having like hotel breakfast for like a full year. We got pretty used to those like little waffles, and the little thing you flip over.
Yeah.
I lived on those things. That's
That
where most of my calories came from little hotel flipping waffles. But
When did you feel like you could officially settle in? I mean, I know that you were a
it wasn't,
round pick.
It wasn't until the next year, probably my 3rd year pro, that I finally I came to camp and right away they were like, "Hey, go get apartments." So it's tough, lots of guys. It takes time for like the player and the team to make a decision, being like, "Hey, we feel comfortable giving this guy the go ahead to go get a place."
We asked Perbs about if anybody's like cussed him out when he's been out there on defense, like Sergachev or Heddy, and he goes, he's not sure. He goes, sometimes I go back to the bench and they say things in like their own language, and he's not sure if they're talking about him or not. Have you been out there out on the ice with like obviously Pointer and Stamkos or Killer and been like, oh my god, I just completely screwed this up, or I mean, was it like that at first?
It can be like that. I haven't been on the ice with those guys a ton.
Right.
Games. I think that moment more kind of happens in like practice.
Yeah.
Just because, I'm still always trying to like make an impression in practice where, if someone's going in the corner accidentally, like, I'm going to hit someone in practice. But if I accidentally like bump someone going for the puck, sometimes I'm like, oh, that was Cooch. I hope he's all right. I hope nobody saw that. Like
Wow.
that kind of thing.
Cooch would be wearing a different color jersey during practice. He used to be off limits. Yeah. There's no touching Cooch.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
The non-contact jersey.
Yeah. He should, even though he's healthy, he should definitely be wearing that. All right, so we just obviously started this talking about your first goal. You didn't imagine your first goal to go down that way. You said that you were, starting to weigh on you. Did you imagine your first goal going down a certain way? Had you been thinking about over the last couple weeks like this? I see this happening. We're going to be playing Capitals and I'm going to score. Like I could see this, or we're playing this team and I'm going to be able to, like, were you imagining it? Were you trying to manifest it?
I think I was like trying to imagine it pretty much before every game. I didn't really have one way in particular. I think my like dad and girlfriend honestly took credit for manifesting it. They're like, well, you're just waiting for us to come down and score. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm like, I'm just trying to score whenever, but if you're here, like, pros to it. And they're like, oh, now we're here, you can finally score. And then I get back last night, and they're like, we told you so.
That worked, and then you're rubbing skates with Perbs. I mean, like, there's a lot of things you got to do to keep this going. So hopefully you continue it.
Did you have a moment, like, so far this year, you're like, welcome to the NHL moment? Like, for me, my first welcome to the NHL moment was we were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Eric Lindros at the time was with the Leafs, and I saw him in the corner. He had the puck. He was my guy, and I go in there, and I'm thinking, like, I kind of got a little step on him. I don't think if he sees me here, I'm gonna like run him into the boards, really kind of give him the business.
Right.
He definitely saw me because he kind of like reverse checked me. I felt like I swallowed my lungs. My lungs like collapsed, and I was like, Eric Lindros. Like, it was dying, and I can just imagine. I was just remembering seeing like this Legion of Doom poster that I had in the wall, and like Eric Lindros was the big bad dude, and he was at his end of his career, but he was still a pretty formidable guy.
He almost killed you.
For me, that was my welcome to the NHL moment. I didn't know if you've had a moment like that yet so far.
I don't know if there's one moment like in a game that's been like, holy crap. I think maybe in like preseason when we went to Nashville, one of the games he got beat up pretty bad, and I was kind of like getting reps in on the penalty kill, and I'm out there. I'm like, I'm usually pretty good on the up ice forecheck, and next thing I know, it's like the triangle drop of Yossi, Duchesne, and Forsberg, and
you're like, I'm in no man's land. Oh no!
And they like just went into the zone with ease and zipped it around, and they scored a goal. But I mean, so I'm like, that's like, yeah, that's how.
As a young guy, that's gonna happen for sure.
But I mean, I think like more of those moments like welcome are like in practice, because I mean, like I'm doing a lot of killing against Hedman, Stamkos, Kucherov, and Point, and I'm like, I literally like know what power plays they're gonna do, and I'm like, I'm spinning every time. So I mean, I think it's more just like, holy crap, like Kucherov just makes you look like a cone half the time.
That's why you stayed after practice today, right? I mean, he's putting the work in. We want to let everybody know.
But that's the best practice, really. You get the practice against some of the best, most skilled guys in the world on basically every practice, every day, because you guys practice power play almost every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, just moving forward, that's going to help you right there. Like, you're not going to face a tougher power play than what you're going to face here in practice on most days, right?
Yeah, like it's awesome, whether it be that or just like when we're doing like 5-on-5 neutral zone or like D-zone, like getting like that D-zone work against these guys is like awesome, because I mean, they're making every single play no matter what, that extra pass, and it just like creates such good habits, and like playing against them, it just makes the game flow so much easier.
And you learn something like all the time. You always take something away from playing like with players that are better than you. I know for me, anytime I had a teammate, or whether it was like a national team thing, or I got to a new team, or a new guy came to the team, I just remember thinking like, oh, wow, I never thought about it that way. That guy does it in such a way that, like, I can do that, but I never thought of it. It kind of elevates your game when you play with good players, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just going through, like, seeing what they do, and then even when I'm doing video with, like, Halpy over my clips, it's like we watch clips of the other guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, because I'll go out earlier, say I'm with Halpy, and, like, we'll work on, like, little wall plays or puck protection things, and then, like, so we'll work on it, and then he'll be like, now watch Cooch do this, watch Coburn do this, like, this is why they're so good. Like, they do this like automatically. So like watching them do it on video, and then watching them do it actually at practice. And those guys are even good too. Like, they're like, after practice, like they'll come and take their reps, and they're like helping us. I remember multiple times this year, like we're working on just like handling rims, and it's Cooch will come over and like, give everyone a lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, like
he's great like that. I don't think people realize he's as talented as he is. He can be a real teacher like that. He can really, because he wants everybody. He realizes, you know, as much as he can elevate guys in the team, it's going to help the team, you know, for Cole Koepke to become a better player is going to help Kuch in the long run.
And it's good. I'm glad you guys said that because Kuch doesn't do a lot of media unless, they win the Stanley Cup. So nobody really knows about Kuch, but it's great to hear that, he's helping everybody out. So obviously, scored the goal. I'm sure there's many more interviews they have to do. Good Morning America, all sorts of stuff. But I want to let you, I'm going to let you off the hook with this last question. Who is a better coach, Coach Cooper or your dad?
I got to say Coach Cooper.
Coach Cooper. All right.
Gotta go with the current coach.
You wouldn't.
That's a good career decision right there.
Yeah.
Have you heard Coach Cooper say worse things than your dad did when you were a kid?
To me?
No, to the to the refs. Yeah.
I don't know. Coop's he's pretty level-headed, actually.
A gentleman out there?
Yeah, he's a gentleman.
Wow.
I'd say. For the most part.
So
far.
Look at Kobe's like, all right, let's not get into this whole thing. So
No, he is. He's pretty calm on there. Like some coaches I played with in the past, they get, something happens and the fuse blows and you can just see like a nuclear reaction going off in their brain. Coop's pretty good. He's kind of buddy with most of the refs, but when something happens out there and he really wants to take a stand, you'll see a pretty fired up coach.
Well, listen, we appreciate you coming on after you scored your first goal. I saw my dad get arrested at a high school football game for taunting the away team. So I don't know if that was like when you saw your dad get ejected for yelling at the ref, but I feel like we're bonding over that. So you're having a great season, man. Keep it up, and thanks for stopping by the block party.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, buddy.